Good morning, Your Honor. This is Maribel. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good. How are you?
I'm great, thank you.
Hey, Maribel, I'm going to give you a little heads up about Michael Robinson. He's number 19 on the list. He was going to get kicked to tonight because he didn't make the cutoff time. But after I read his interim complaint and looked into his case a little bit, I asked that he be seen because I do not think he should have been arrested. I don't think that he's a prohibited possessor because I looked up the cases that he had and they were both designated misdemeanors when he got off of probation. So if you want to take a look at that, I think we're going to see him last, but I just wanted to give you a heads up.
Thank you, Your Honor. It makes complete sense. I also did include my recommendation for Mr. Robinson, and I'm also asking for his case to be dismissed, Your Honor. I did check those priors.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, ma'am. Can I get your full name?
Hi, Alexa Rios.
Ms. Rios, I am seeing you this morning because you've got a couple of warrants. It looks like you're being held on a felony matter that you were arrested on. I'm not seeing you on that. It looks like you're being held on a $2,500 bond on that. But they must have seen that you had these warrants, and so I need to see you on these. You've got 2 warrants out of Pima County Justice Court, one for a theft from January 12th of 2024 and one for a shoplifting from March 11th of 2024. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to order that you be held on $250 cash or secured bonds on these 2 matters. I'm going to appoint Douglas Taylor to represent you in justice court, order that you not return to any of the incident locations, and you're going to have a hearing on Tuesday. That's January 21st at 1 o'clock. And that'll be in justice court to take care of these matters. And then you've also got a warrant out of Tucson City Court for criminal trespass and shoplifting from February 28th of 2024. On that one, I'm going to order that you be held also on a $250 cash or secured bond. Order that you not go back to that incident location. I will appoint the city public defender's office to represent you. And you're going to have your hearing there by video on January 28th at 1:45. If you were to be out of custody, if you were to post your bonds, then you would need to get to Tucson City Court on February 19th at 2 o'clock. Do you understand all of that, ma'am?
Yes.
All right, you're excused.
Okay.
Is Valencia's out of the hospital?
Yeah.
Okay. Morning, Miss Rubin.
Morning.
Good morning, Your Honor. This is the Spanish interpreter. Your Honor, can we check with the jail to see if there's any Spanish speakers?
Yes.
There are no Spanish speakers.
All right, then you're excused, Ms. Fernandez. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Have a good day.
Thank you too. Hey, sir, can I get your full name?
Defendant Martin.
Mr. Martin, I am seeing you this morning on a couple of matters. You've got new charges of domestic violence, disorderly conduct, and assault. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. Give me just a moment to review your paperwork. Sir, I'm also seeing you on a warrant that you have out of Green Valley for a domestic violence disorderly conduct. It looks like with the same alleged victim from, or there's 3 victims in that case, from June 17th of 2023. And it says it's a post-adjudication warrant. All right. So what I'm going to do, sir, is on this new charge, I'm going to order that you be held on a $250 cash or secured bond. I'm ordering that you commit no further acts of domestic violence, that you possess no firearms or weapons, and pretrial services was not able to get in contact with the alleged victim, your girlfriend, so I don't know what her position is, but I am going to order, given the fact that it looks like this is the second incident involving her, I'm going to order that you have no contact at this time with her. So that means if you're living together, you can't be at the residence, but I will put in my order that you can return one time with a law enforcement escort. So if you were to post your bonds, you would take my order to the nearest police station and have them go with you to get your things. I am going to appoint the city public defender's office to represent you in city court. And we will set a hearing with Judge Million on January 29th at 1:30. If you were to post your bonds, you need to be at that hearing where a warrant can issue for your arrest. And then on the Green Valley warrant, I'm also going to order a $250 cash or secured bond. So your total bond will be $500. And I will appoint Janet Altschuler to represent you in Green Valley. Same conditions, no acts of domestic violence, no contact with the victim. And your hearing in Green Valley is February 6th at 8:30 in the morning. So if you're still in custody, that's when they'll see you by video. If you post that bond, you need to get to Green Valley Justice Court on that date and time. You're going to get paperwork with all of that information on it. Do you understand, sir?
Yes.
All right, you're excused.
Hey. Davis. Yes. Thank you. Hello, good morning.
Hi, good morning. Give me just a moment, please.
Yes, ma'am.
I finished it. I just didn't approve it. All right, what's your name, sir?
David Merritt.
Mr. Merritt, I'm seeing you this morning on a charge of criminal trespass. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you.
Yes, ma'am. May I ask a question?
Yes,
Where did I get arrested at?
you got arrested at the Pima County Sheriff's Department on Benson Highway. They say that don't say anything about it because everything that you say is being recorded. It can be used against you. But just so you know, they say that the security guards had asked you several times to leave the property and you did not leave the property. So where are you living right now, sir?
I actually just got into a homeless shelter.
Okay, where at?
CBI, Community Bridges, and I really don't want to lose my bed. So
Okay,
I've been looking for a job, and I just got in there probably like a week and a half ago.
okay.
And they only let you stay out one night, so I was only out one night last.
All right, I'm gonna release you, okay? I'm gonna, on your promise to appear in court, I'm ordering that you don't go back to that, incident location and that you, possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs, all right? And then, you've got a hearing in Pima County Justice Court on February 18th at 8:30 in the morning that you're gonna need to be at, okay?
I have a court date. I want to say on the 23rd.
Okay,
Is there a way like I could maybe do that, or it would be another separate one?
yeah, because if that one, I don't have that in front of me. Do you know what court that one's in?
Honestly, I have no clue anything about it really. I just know that I have court on the 23rd.
All right, well, I'm gonna keep this date, of the 18th. You're gonna get paperwork with that information on it. I would suggest calling around at the courts to make sure that you've got your court dates right. Or try and get in touch with an attorney if you've got a public defender, representing you on anything, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right,
Thank you.
you're welcome. You're excused.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.
Lord.
Hi, ma'am. Can I get your full name?
Good morning. Is Molly Moore? Molly Rosita Rabbit Moore. Sorry.
Miss Moore, I am seeing you this morning because you have several warrants. You've got one out of justice court for domestic violence, disorderly conduct, and criminal damage from back in 2020. And then warrant issued when you failed to appear there in court. And then you've got several warrants out of Tucson City Court, one for drug paraphernalia from September of 2024, one for criminal trespass from March of 2024, one for drug paraphernalia from January of 2023, one for criminal trespass from September of 2022, and another one for criminal trespass from March of 2022. So ma'am, you do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. I'm gonna hold you, ma'am, on a couple of bonds on the justice court matter. We'll make it a $250 cash or secured bond. And I am going to appoint Adam Waters to represent you in justice court. You'll have a hearing on Tuesday, that's the 21st, at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And then on all of these city court matters, I'm going to order a $500 cash or secured bond. I'll appoint the city public defender to represent you there. And you'll have a video review on January 28th at 1:45. If you were to post your bonds, you would need to get to Tucson City Court on February 24th at 9 o'clock in the morning. Do you understand all of that, ma'am?
Yeah.
All right, you're excused.
Go back out, have a seat with the 3 minutes. Okay. Aguilar?
Hi, sir, can I get your full name?
Aguilar?
What's your name?
Omar Aguilar?
Right, Mr. Aguilar, I am seeing you this morning on a charge of disorderly conduct. It's a domestic violence offense. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. I'm going to enter a plea of not guilty for you at this time and advise you that you're ordered to appear at all of your hearings. If you don't appear at your hearings, they can go forward in your absence. Warrants can issue for your arrest. And if you're convicted at a trial and you can't be sentenced within 90 days of the conviction, you could lose your right to a direct appeal. Give me just a moment to review your paperwork. All right, sir. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to order that you be released on your promise to appear in court. I am ordering that you commit no further acts of domestic violence. And I'm going to order, sir, that you only have, I'm going to order no contact with the alleged victim, Ms. Olmos, except that I understand that you share children. So I'm going to put in my order that you can just have telephonic contact with her only regarding the children. All right. So you are not to contact her about anything else. You're not to text her or call her or email her about anything other than the children only. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
And you're ordered not to go to her residence at this time? So you're ordered no in-person contact with her. So if you need to do like exchanges with the children, you're gonna have to do that through a third party. All right. All right. And then you're going to be in Tucson City Court with Judge Millian on February 18th at 1:30 in the afternoon. You need to get to that hearing or a warrant will issue for your arrest. Do you understand? All right. You're excused.
Boston.
Logo, I see here. Yeah, just go back.
Hi, sir. Can I get your full name?
James Madison Boston.
Mr. Boston, I am seeing you this morning on a couple of matters. You were charged with a new DUI, and then you're also here because you have an old DUI for which a warrant issued because you had not done any of the things that you need to do for your DUI, including proof of completion of your DUI screening, counseling, and MAD class, and that was back in 2020 or 2016 case. All right, so on the new charge, I'm going to enter a plea of not guilty for you at this time. Advise you that you're ordered to appear at all of your hearings. If you miss your hearings, they can go forward in your absence. The warrant can issue for your arrest. And if you're convicted at a trial and you can't be sentenced within 90 days of the conviction, you could lose your right to a direct appeal. So, sir, what I'm going to do is I'm going to order that you be held on a $1,500 cash or secured bond. If you were to post that bond, I'm ordering that you do not drive without a valid driver's license, that you possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs, I'm going to appoint the City Public Defender's Office to represent you. If you're still in custody, you will have a hearing with Judge Hale on, there's no sheet in here on this one.
Yeah, I'm blind, so I can't drive anyway, so I haven't driven a car in like 10 years. My other DUI was with a bicycle.
All right, sir. So your video review hearing is going to be January 28th at 1:45. If you're out of custody, if you post that bond, you would need to be in Tucson City Court on February 24th at. All right, that's all, sir. You're excused.
I think it's.
Go back out, have a seat with the mills.
Hi, sir. Can I get your full name?
Edward Henry Gum Jr.
Sorry, can you say that again?
Edward Harry Gum Jr.
Okay. All right, Mr. Gum, I am seeing you this morning on a petition to revoke your probation out of Tucson City Court. I'm going to read that petition to you now. It says that on March 13th of 2024, you were adjudicated guilty of domestic violence, disorderly conduct, looks like 2 counts. You were placed on probation for 36 months from the date of March 13th. The court was petitioned to revoke your probation because they allege that you violated by 1, on or about April 4th, 2024, failing to report for a scheduled review hearing. 2, on or about April 5th, 2024, failing to attend DVO as directed. 3, on or about April 11th, 2024, you changed your residence without prior approval and your whereabouts were unknown. 4, on or about March 29th, 2024, you failed to enroll in domestic violence programming. And 5, on or about March 25th, 26th, 28th, 29th, and April 11th, you failed to submit to random drug testing as possible, as directed. So, sir, I'm going to enter denials of those allegations at this time. I'm going to order that you be held on a $2,500 cash bond.
Can you read to bond 500? My boss is trying to get it. My boss owns Golden Corral on Thornydale. He is trying to get me out. I work. I have his phone number right here.
Sir, I'm sorry. That's the order from directly from Judge Millian. She wants you held. If you were to post that bond, I'm ordering that you still have no contact of any kind with any alleged victims, and that you commit no acts of domestic violence. You're
Mine is
2,500. And
2,500.
correct. Judge Millian will see you on February 5th at 1:30. If you're still in custody, she'll see you by video. If you're out of custody, you need to get to that hearing or a warrant will issue for your arrest.
Cash for security or is it both?
It's cash only. You're excused. That's all.
Thank you.
I see the share you left. Thanks. Compos.
Hi, ma'am. Can I get your full name?
Hey, look at that, folks.
Ms. Compos, I am seeing you on a couple of matters. You've got a new charge of criminal trespass. And then you've got a warrant out of Tucson City Court also for trespass from September 27th of 2024. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. On the new charge, I'm going to enter pleas of not guilty and advise you that you're ordered to appear at all of your hearings. If you miss your hearings, they can go forward in your absence. Warrants can issue for your arrest. And if you're convicted at a trial and you can't be sentenced within 90 days of the conviction, you could lose your right to a direct appeal. So, ma'am, I'm going to order that you be held on a $250 cash bond, ordering that you do not return to the incident location. I will appoint the city public defender's office to represent you. And if you are still in custody, you will be seen by video on January 28th at 1:45. If you post that bond, you would need to get to Tucson City Court on February 20th at 10 o'clock in the morning. Right, ma'am, that's all. You're excused.
Go.
Hi, ma'am, can I get your full name?
That's coming in Houston.
Miss Houston, I am seeing you just for it looks like one warrant out of Tucson City Court for prescription drug case from October of 2024, but it looks like you are also being held on a felony matter. Let's see. Yes, you are being held without bond on your Superior Court. Looks like you've got two cases there, and they were failure to appear warrants. So I'm not going to see you on those today. You're going to be seen separately in Superior Court for those matters. So as to this city court case, I'm going to order that you be released, but I'll note that you're in custody on the felony. I'll appoint the city public defender's office to represent you, and we'll set a hearing in city court for February 28th at 9 o'clock in the morning. So if you end up out of custody, you need to get to that hearing. If you're still in custody, they'll have a non-transport review for you for this case. Do you understand, ma'am?
Yeah.
All right, you're excused.
Martinez.
Hey, sir, can I get your full name?
It's for Joseph Martinez.
Mr. Martinez, I'm seeing you this morning on charges of domestic violence, assault, and disorderly conduct. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. I'm going to enter pleas of not guilty for you at this time and advise you that you're ordered to appear at all of your hearings. If you miss your hearings, they can go forward in your absence. Warrants can issue for your arrest. And if you're convicted at a trial and you can't be sentenced within 90 days of the conviction, you could lose your right to a direct appeal. Give me just one moment to review your paperwork. So, sir, pretrial services was unable to get in contact with the alleged victim, your girlfriend. So I don't know what her position is. Do you have somewhere else to stay? If
I have my place at 5570 East Hampton Street, apartment 114. I've been there for 6 years. I work for Granite Construction.
and she lives there too, right?
Yes, but that's my name and I pay the bills and everything.
Okay, but if she lives there and if I release you, I don't want you to go back there right now if she's living there.
That's fine.
If she moves out, then you can go back there, but we're not going to kick her out of the apartment.
I understand that.
All right. So I'm going to order that you be released on your promise to appear in court.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
I'm ordering that you possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs and that you commit no further acts of domestic violence. I am not going to make an order as far as contact with her goes. So if you were to go home and she does not want you to be there, you need to leave immediately and go somewhere else.
You got it.
She
Absolutely.
does not want to have contact with you. It's up to her and you need to end the contact. Do you understand?
I understand that right away. You got it. Absolutely.
All right, your hearing with Judge Million in Tucson City Court is going to be on February 18th at 1:30. You need to get to that hearing or a warrant can issue for your arrest, okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you're excused.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, sir, can I get your full name?
Cody Michael Callahan.
Mr. Callahan, I am seeing you this morning on a couple of different matters. You've got new charges of possession of a dangerous drug and possession of drug paraphernalia. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to an attorney. I'm going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you. So, sir, the state's okay with you being released to pretrial services, so that's what I'm going to order.
Good.
And we're gonna set a hearing in Superior Court in about a week that you need to get to because you may be eligible for a drug diversion program. So you've got to get to that hearing so that you can find out whether or not you're eligible for that, okay?
And I'm sorry, but I'll get a paper saying like when the door date is and everything.
Absolutely.
Okay. And then they said
So she's done.
oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah, I might answer your question if you just let me finish here, okay? So your what they call a smart court or a steps hearing, that's going to be in Superior Court on January 28th at 9 o'clock in the morning. And council waive time for the PH.
Yes.
So that'll be on March 5th. And I'm ordering that you be released to the third-party custody pretrial services monitoring and treatment as directed by them. So you're going to need to check in with them. And Ms. Rubin, are you giving him do you have the card for him?
Yeah.
That has that. Okay, so she's going to give you a card that has pretrial services phone number on it, as well as the public defender's office. All right, so you'll get in touch with both of them when you get out. I'm ordering no alcohol or illegal drugs. All right, do you still have any questions?
Yes. They said I had a warrant,
Yes.
but they got rid of it, or like because I tried to
I'm
trying to contact you guys and yeah, but sorry.
Okay, we're gonna deal with that one next.
Okay.
So yes, your warrant out of Tucson City Court was for an excessive speeding charge from March 18th. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna order that you be released on that charge. And you're gonna get another court date. And Ms. Rubin will write that down for you too. This one's gonna be in Tucson City Court. That'll be on February 24th at 9 o'clock in the morning. So you'll go to that hearing to take care of that city court case so you don't end up with another warrant, all right? Okay,
Thank you.
all right. That's all, sir. You're excused.
All right, thank you.
We're also gonna get separate paperwork on these cases.
Oh, okay. So but this is for
That's
like
your
for
case,
like
right,
the contacted you.
with that, with the office.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, thank you.
Oh. Oh, is that it? Yell it. There's no already. Or out. Mr. Coach. Come on. Yeah. But.
Well, they took some games for us.
Oh, awful. You put my milk in the freezer and I'll help you.
Melanie, stand up. Hey, what's that? Awesome. And in order to felonies, come on, let's go. Armed team search.
Hi, sir. Can I get your full name?
Brandon Marshall Abraham.
Mr. Abraham, I'm seeing you this morning on a new felony charge of domestic violence, trespassing in the first degree, and then misdemeanor charges of domestic violence, criminal damage, and disorderly conduct. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to an attorney. On the felony matters, I'm going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you, and you've got counsel seated next to you for today's hearing. So the state is requesting a $3,500 bond with pretrial services, just given the allegations here. And there is a pretty extensive criminal history. Ms. Rubin?
Yes, his last case was in 2011 and ended in 2015. He lives with his wife, and indicates he's the owner of a metalworks company. It is charged as a class 6 felony. We'd ask that you release him to the supervision of pretrial services with whatever conditions we would like to face. Oh.
And Your Honor, if I may address the court.
Yes.
Your Honor, my recommendation was also based on the limited information that I had. The pretrial services report was not available. It is a concern now looking at his criminal history, the amount of priors, the type of priors the defendant has. There's also probation violations and other DV matters. Based on the facts, Your Honor, that it does involve a connected garage to the residence and the defendant attempting to force his way in, I'll respectfully ask to amend my recommendation and recommend a higher bond.
Okay. What do you want that to be?
10,000, Your Honor.
Right. On the felony charge, I'm going to order a $2,500 bond. It'll be cash or secured, released to pretrial services if that bond is posted. Monitoring or treatment is directed by pretrial. No acts of domestic violence, no alcohol or illegal drugs, no firearms or weapons, no contact of any kind with the alleged victim, your brother. Don't go to his residence. And preliminary hearing date is scheduled for January 29th. But sir, that hearing is very likely not going to happen on that date. You're going to get a hearing at a later date. So if you do post your bonds, you need to make sure that you're in touch with pretrial and with your attorney so that you know when to get to court. These misdemeanor matters are going to be handled out of Marana City Court. On those, I'm going to order a $500 cash or secured bond. So it'll be a total of $3,000 cash or secured. I will appoint Janet Altschuler to represent you in Marana. Same conditions. And your hearing in Marana is set for Wednesday. That's the 22nd at noon. So if you post your bonds, you need to get to Marana for that hearing. You understand? You understand all of that, sir?
Yes, I do.
You're excused.
I think it's.
To go sit with the other guys. Yeah. Next.
Bell.
Hi, sir. Can I get your full name?
Sure.
Mr. Bell, I'm seeing you this morning on charges of 2 counts of shoplifting and a count of possession of drug paraphernalia. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to an attorney. I'm going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you, and you've got counsel seated next to you for today's hearing. The state's asking for a $5,000 bond in lieu of no bond. Looks like you were on release and to pretrial services at the time that these new felonies were alleged to have occurred. So they could hold you without bond, but instead they're asking for a $5,000 bond. Did you want to be heard on that, Ms. Rubin?
They do have the right to ask for no bond, so we acknowledge that, they can ask for a bond that's lower.
All right. I'll order a $2,500 bond. It'll be cash or secured and released to pretrial services if posted, monitoring, or treatment as directed by pretrial. No alcohol or illegal drugs. Do not return to the incident location. And preliminary hearing date is scheduled for January 29th. But sir, that hearing is very likely not going to happen on that date. You're going to get a hearing at a later date. So if you do post the bond, you need to make sure that you're in touch with pretrial and with your attorney so that you know when to get to court. You understand? All right, you're excused.
Your story.
That's just the information that the judge gave him.
So they'll.
Yeah.
We're downstairs.
Vota. La cosa.
Hi, sir. Can I get your full name?
Eduardo Carmona.
Mr. Carmona Cota, I'm seeing you this morning on several different matters. One of them is a warrant out of Pima County Justice Court for shoplifting, criminal trespass, 2 counts, and prescription drug possession. Those are from October 30th of 2024. And then I have warrants out of Douglas. You've got warrants for felony charges of all burglary in the 3rd degree. It looks like there's 11 counts on different dates ranging from April through June of 2024. And then you've got misdemeanor charges also out of Douglas of criminal trespass and criminal damage from September 16th, 2024. All right, so starting with the Pima County Justice Court case, I'm going to order that you be held on a $250 cash or secured bond. Order that you, if you were to post that bond, that you possess no alcohol or illegal drugs and that you do not return to the incident location. I'm going to appoint Caitlin Waters to represent you in Justice Court. And your hearing there will be on Tuesday, January 21st at 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
This person's name is Charles.
And then on the misdemeanor Douglas, Justice Court matters. I'm going to order a $1,150 cash or secured bond. Order that you not return to those incident locations. And you're going to have a hearing on February 4th at 9:30 in the morning. That'll be in Douglas Justice Court. So if you're in custody, they'll take you to a video hearing for that. If you've posted your bonds, you would need to get to Douglas Justice Court for that hearing. Finally, on the felonies out of felonies out of Douglas, I'm going to order a $1,500 cash or secured bond. You will not be seen by video on those. You'll have a review hearing, though, if you're still in custody on February 19th to find out what's happening with your other matters. Once you've taken care of the local matters, Douglas will likely then come and pick you up to go deal with those felonies.
So would I be staying in jail?
Unless you post the bond, which is somewhere around, it's about $3,000. So if you post that bond, you've got to get to all of your hearings in all of these different courts, or you're going to lose that bond. If you stay in custody, you're going to be seen by video in Justice Court and in Douglas Justice Court. And then eventually you'll have a review hearing in February to find out whether or not you're done with those cases. And if you are, then Douglas Justice Court or Douglas can come and pick you up to deal with your felonies.
So I will be staying in jail?
Yes, unless you post the bond. Right? You're excused, sir.
So what's gonna happen?
Whatever court dates come,
So I'm gonna stay in jail right now?
unless you post the bond.
Hi, can I get your full name?
Abigail Delagana.
Miss Delagana, I'm seeing you this morning on charges of fraud, schemes, and artifices, taking the identity of another, theft of a credit card, computer tampering, possession of a dangerous drug, possession of drug paraphernalia. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to an attorney. I'm going to appoint the legal defender's office to represent you, and you've got counsel seated next to you for today's hearing. State's asking for a $20,000 bond with pretrial services, given the allegations here. I'll hear from defense.
Yes, her PSA score is low. She doesn't have any prior felony arrests. She indicates that she's working as a nurse, and has been in Tucson for 1.5 years. We'd ask that you release her to the supervision of pretrial services.
I'm going to order a $25,000 bond. It'll be cash or secured, released to pretrial services if that bond is posted. No contact of any kind with any of the victims. And preliminary hearing date is scheduled for January 29th. But ma'am, that hearing is very likely not going to happen on that date. You're going to get a hearing at a later date. So if you do post that bond, you need to make sure you're in touch with pretrial and with your attorney so that you know when to get to court. You understand? All right, you're excused.
Good to go back down and sit together. Thank you.
Hi, sir. Can I get your full name?
Travis Cretcher.
Mr. Cretcher, I'm seeing you this morning on a charge of second-degree burglary and aggravated domestic violence. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to an attorney. I'm going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you, and you've got counsel seated next to you for today's hearing. State's asking for a $50,000 bond with pretrial services, given the allegations here and the extremely extensive history of domestic violence, a lot of which involves the same victim. So, did you want to be heard, Ms. Rubin?
Yes, he's been a long-term Tucson resident and he does not reside with the alleged victim. He lives alone. He's employed. I know that he's on misdemeanor probation for domestic violence, but we ask that you set a reasonable bond.
No, order a $50,000 bond. It'll be cash or secured, released to pretrial services if that bond is posted. Monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial. No acts of domestic violence, no alcohol or illegal drugs, no firearms or weapons, no contact of any kind with the alleged victims. Do not go to their residence. Preliminary hearing date is scheduled for January 29th, but sir, that hearing is very likely not going to happen on that date. You're going to get a hearing at a later date. So if you do post that bond, you need to make sure you're in touch with pretrial and with your attorney so that you know when to get to court. That's all, sir. You're excused.
Here it goes. Next.
Hi, ma'am. Can I get your full name?
Mallory Salvo.
Mr. Salvo, I am seeing you this morning on a couple of different matters. You have new charges of possession of narcotic drugs, possession of drug paraphernalia. And then you also have a warrant out of Superior Court for 2018 charges of taking the identity of another and shoplifting. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to an attorney. I'm going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you, and you have counsel seated next to you for today's hearing. So in reviewing the 2018 matter, it looks like a summons was issued. I don't know that she was ever arrested on this or made aware of the fact that that was pending. And then it looks like she may be smart court eligible for the new charges. So Ms. Goodman, I'm inclined to maybe give her a shot on pretrial. Do you want to be heard on that?
Your Honor, I'll submit to the court.
Ma'am, where are you living right now?
I left my boyfriend. He's abusive. But I mean, I can go save my parents.
Okay. All right. And if I release you, are you going to get to these court dates that I'm going to give you? I'm going to give you 2 court dates.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So on the warrant, I'm going to order release to pretrial services and monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial, no alcohol or illegal drugs. You've got an arraignment scheduled. It's going to be a week from Monday. It's in Superior Court. It's going to be with me. If you don't get to that hearing, I'm going to have to issue another warrant for your arrest, and you likely are not going to get out at that point without a bond, okay? All right, so your arraignment is scheduled for January 27th at 1:30 in Superior Court. Public defender is appointed. And you'll need to get in touch with pretrial services as well. And then on the new charges, we're going to set a hearing in Superior Court the following day on Tuesday, January 28th at 9 o'clock in the morning. That'll be on the third floor of Superior Court. And that's going to be a hearing to determine whether or not you're eligible for a drug diversion program, where you could possibly do some drug treatment in exchange for having these charges dismissed. Okay.
All right, awesome. Thank you.
You're also released to pretrial services on that. Monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial, no alcohol or illegal drugs. And counsel waive time for the PH.
Yes.
That'll be March 5th. All right, ma'am. You're excused. Just make sure you get in touch with pretrial and with your attorney and get to your court hearings in a week, okay?
Thank you so much for each case. So you gotta, each case, if it's no court, you're gonna get a warrant. And
Right, first.
okay?
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hi, sir. Can I get your full name?
I'll be
Mr. Didi, I'm seeing you this morning on a charge of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to an attorney. I will appoint the public defender's office to represent you, and you've got counsel seated next to you for today's hearing. State is recommending a $7,500 bond with pretrial services, given the allegations here. Looks like there's no prior history. I'll hear from defense.
Yes, there's no prior felony arrest or conviction. And, he lives in Arizona his whole life, and it's his employee full time. We'd ask that you release him to the supervision of pretrial services with whatever conditions you deemed appropriate.
So I'm assuming they took your gun at the time of arrest?
I believe so.
Do you have any other firearms?
Yes.
I'm going to order that you surrender those.
That
I'm going to order that you be released to the third-party supervision of pretrial services, and I'm ordering monitoring or treatment as directed by them. You are to possess no firearms or weapons, and whatever weapons you have need to be surrendered immediately. Do you understand that?
yes, ma'am.
You've got a preliminary hearing date that's scheduled for February 10th, but that hearing is very likely not going to happen on that date. You'll get a hearing at a later date. So you need to make sure you're in touch with pretrial and with your attorney so that you know when to get to court. You understand?
Yep.
And then obviously I'm ordering no contact with the alleged victims. All right. Your excuse, sir.
Thank you.
This last skill. Right.
Hi, sir. Can I get your full name?
Edgar Nathaniel Huggins Jr.
Mr. Huggins, I'm seeing you this morning on a couple of different matters. You have new charges of possession of dangerous drugs and possession of narcotic drugs. You've also got a warrant out of Tucson City Court that we'll deal with next. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to an attorney. I will appoint the public defender's office to represent you. And you've got counsel seated next to you for today's hearing. So, sir, it looks like you're being held without bond currently because you are on probation for a felony matter. I'm not seeing you on that today. You'll be seen separately in Superior Court, I would guess sometime in the next week or so on that. But you will be held without bond on that at this time. So the state's asking for a $3,500 bond for time credit. Ms. Rubin, you want to be heard on that?
Yes, he indicates that he's homeless currently. He is on probation and will be held 76 years. Is a little high, given that we're going to give him a smart court hearing in the nature of the allegations.
I'll order a $1,500 bond. It'll be cash or secured and released to pretrial if posted. Monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial, no alcohol or legal drugs. Smart hearing is scheduled for January 28th at 9 o'clock. And we'll make the preliminary hearing January 29th. And then the city court warrant is for drug paraphernalia from September of 2024. On that matter, I'm going to order release, but note that you're in custody on the other matters. And I'll appoint the city public defender's office to represent you, and we'll schedule a hearing in city court for February 28th at 9 o'clock in the morning. If you're still in custody, they'll have a non-transport review for you on that date. All right, sir, that's all. You're excused.
Yes.
Dean?
Hi, sir. Can I get your full name?
Boston James.
Mr. James, I am seeing you this morning on a charge of domestic violence, disorderly conduct with a weapon. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to an attorney. I'm going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you, and you've got counsel seated next to you for today's hearing. State is recommending a $50,000 bond with pretrial services, given the allegations here. And I read that the alleged victim objects to release. She's concerned about, she has safety concerns.
Somewhere else you can stay.
I have somewhere else I can stay. Like, I'm not looking for anybody.
He has somewhere else he can stay. It appears that he's no prior felony history. He doesn't have any prior domestic violence convictions, and it appears that this is at least in part related to some mental health issues.
I'd really like to get clean, go back to work.
I'll order a $35,000 bond. It'll be cash or secured, released to pretrial services if that bond is posted. Monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial. No acts of domestic violence, no alcohol or illegal drugs, no firearms or weapons. If you still have firearms and you post your bond, you're going to need to surrender those immediately. No contact of any kind with the alleged victim. Do not go to the residence. I will put in my order that you can return one time with a law enforcement escort to get your personal belongings. So if you do end up posting that bond, you would need to take my order to the nearest police station and have them go with you to get your things. And preliminary hearing date is scheduled for January 29th, but sir, that hearing is very likely not going to happen on that date. You'll get a hearing at a later date. So if you do post that bond, you need to make sure you're in touch with pretrial and with your attorney so that you know when to get to court. That's all, sir. You're excused.
Talk to your lawyer about it. Go have a seat. Sure. No problem. It's a nice.
Hi, sir. Can I get your full name?
Yep.
Mr. Lopez, I am seeing you this morning on a charge of aggravated DUI. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to an attorney. I will appoint the public defender's office to represent you, and you've got counsel seated next to you for today's hearing. State's recommending a $7,500 bond, given the allegations, and there is a history of a prior extreme DUI. And Ms. Goodman, you wrote that there's you did a record check and there had been several arrests for DUI. Is there can you tell me if there's anything recent?
Your Honor, I did look on his criminal history. Seems like that information was in the interim complaint. The officers were the ones who did the record check. If there were other DUI contacts, Your Honor, it doesn't seem like there were arrests or convictions.
Ah, okay. All right, Ms. Rubin?
Yes, and it doesn't appear that there's other DUIs other than the one from 2016. He is a lifelong resident and he is employed full time. And so he has someone who can help get him to court. Can't be driving.
Right. I'll order a $2,500 bond. It'll be cash or secured, released to pretrial services if that bond is posted. Monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial. No alcohol or illegal drugs, and do not drive. Preliminary hearing date is scheduled for January 29th, but sir, that hearing is very likely not going to happen on that date. You'll get a hearing at a later date. So if you do post your bond, you need to make sure you're in touch with pretrial and with your attorney so that you know when to get to court. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you're excused.
So I would need to place my bond.
Have to post it after.
Thank you.
Sure. You're going to go house.
Hi, sir. Can I get your full name?
Guillermo Lopez?
Mr. Lopez, I am seeing you this morning on charges of possession of narcotic drug, possession of drug paraphernalia. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to an attorney. I'm going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you, and you've got counsel seated next to you for today's hearing. State is recommending a $3,500 bond plus pretrial services. There's an extensive criminal history. And the allegation that he was in a running car, I think in the roadway. Ms. Rubin?
Yes, but he's not charged with the DUI. So
At least not with this, but yeah.
so right now, he's not charged with anything other than possession. And since he will be getting a smart court hearing, we ask that you release him to the supervision of pretrial services. And he's got a place to stay. They verified it. And even though he's got criminal history, the nature of this offense, it is nonviolent, no victim. So we're not before you on any other charges. So if they're going to charge that later, then we're going to consider that with respect to bond. But here we're just here on a civil possession.
And Your Honor, if I may address the court,
Yeah.
the fact that he is here for the court on personal possession, nonetheless, his actions, the fact that he, what he does while he's under the influence and possession of this narcotics, it does have a risk to the community.
I'm going to order a $2,500 bond, cash or secured, released to pretrial if that bond is posted, monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial, no alcohol or illegal drugs. Do not drive without a valid driver's license. We'll set a smart hearing for January 28th at 9 o'clock in the morning, and preliminary hearing will be January 29th. All right, sir, if you post your bond, you need to make sure that you get to court on the 28th at 9 o'clock.
Okay. Oh, okay. Thanks.
Can I get your full name?
Carla Ray Plagenborg.
Ms. Plagenborg, I'm seeing you this morning on a couple of different matters. You've got new charges of possession of narcotic drug, possession of dangerous drug, possession of drug paraphernalia. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to an attorney. I'm going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you, and you've got counsel seated next to you for today's hearing. So ma'am, you're being held without bond right now on the on your probation cases. I'm not seeing you on those today. You'll be seen separately in Superior Court on those. But for now, you're going to be held without bond. State is asking for a $3,500 bond with pretrial for time credit. Ms. Rubin, you want to be heard on that?
We are asking that you set a bond for time credit, set a smart hearing. What?
What does that mean? What time
That's it. Oh, so you're getting time credit on this charge because you're being held without. Cases. Okay.
All right, so I'm ordering a $2,500 bond. It'll be cash or secured, released to pretrial if posted, monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial, no alcohol or illegal drugs. And preliminary hearing date is scheduled for January 29th. Smart court hearing is January 28th at 9 o'clock. All right, and then city court warrants. Are going back to 2021. There's two, one for shoplifting and one for criminal trespass, 2 counts. On those matters, I'm going to order a $250 cash or secured bond. Appoint the city public defender to represent you. And you will have a video hearing on February 19th at 2:30.
Okay.
If you were to, I'm sorry, January 28th. January 28th at 1:45 is the video hearing. If you were to be out of custody, you would need to get to city court on February 19th at 2:30. All right, ma'am, that's all. You're excused.
Great, thank you.
Hi, sir. Can I get your full name?
Michael James Robinson.
Mr. Robinson, you were arrested for prohibited possessor charges, but it seems that was an error because the state has moved to dismiss those charges. I looked it up also and saw that you It looks like your 2 felonies from 2013 had been designated misdemeanors back then, so.
Yeah, I tried to, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's fine. Thank you. I'm like,
So I'm gonna order that those charges be dismissed without prejudice and that you be released as to these charges. All right?
Since I'm giving you this, you have 2 cases,
Thank you.
remember? So this is for each of your cases. The order of discharge indicates that these cases were designated misdemeanors. You might want to have that, carry that with you so you don't get arrested for something like this.
appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. Take care. Thanks for doing that, Ms. Rubin.
Sure.
Sir, can I get your full name?
Lenny Saulfo Rolas Jr.
Mr. Relas, I am seeing you this morning on a few different matters. You've got new charges of disorderly conduct with a weapon, 2 counts, and 1 count of being a prohibited possessor. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to an attorney. I'm going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you, and you've got counsel seated next to you for today's hearing. I'm also seeing you on, it's like some new misdemeanor charges, and then you've got warrants out of Superior Court and Justice Court. So we'll deal with all of those next. First, we'll deal with the new felony charges. The state is recommending a $15,000 bond plus pretrial. Given the allegations here and the history, I'll hear from Ms. Rubin.
Just a second, Your Honor. He indicates that he isn't working full-time and there's a place to stay, but his sister also would let him stay with her if he needed to. He just has 1 prior felony.
All right, on the new charge, I'm going to order a $10,000 bond. It'll be cash or secured, released to pretrial services if posted. Do not return to the incident location. Monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial. No firearms or weapons. If you have any firearms, those need to be surrendered immediately. And preliminary hearing date is scheduled for January 29th. But sir, that hearing is very likely not going to happen on that date. So if you do post your bond, you need to make sure you're in touch with pretrial and with your attorney so that you know when to get to court. All right, and then Superior Court warrant. Public defender is also appointed to represent you on this. These are for charges of theft, shoplifting, and theft of means of transportation. Those are charges from July 8th of 2024. On those, I'm going to order a $2,500 cash or secured bond released to pretrial if that bond is posted. No contact with any alleged victim. Don't go to any incident location. And arraignment is scheduled for January 27th at 1:30. If you were to be out of custody, you need to get to that hearing or warrants will issue. Justice Court warrant is for a 2016 DUI.
I was in prison in 2016, man.
Well, that's still hanging out there. So you need to get to court to deal with it and talk to them about that.
I believe I did all the time. I've
All right,
gone.
so you'll go to Justice Court. You'll go to Justice Court and deal with that. That's going to be a $250 cash or secured bond. I'm going to appoint Douglas Taylor to represent you in Justice Court. You'll have a hearing on Tuesday, January 21st at 1 o'clock in Justice Court to deal with that case. And then finally, the new misdemeanor charges out of Tucson City Court are resisting arrest, criminal damage, and criminal trespass. I'm going to enter pleas of not guilty for you at this time and advise you that you're ordered to appear at all of your hearings. If you miss your hearings, they can go forward in your absence. Warrants can issue for your arrest. And if you're convicted at a trial and you can't be sentenced within 90 days of the conviction, you could lose your right to a direct appeal. On these matters, I'm also going to order a $250 cash or secured bond, order that you not return to that incident location. I'll appoint the city public defender to represent you, and you'll have a video review hearing on January 28th at 1:45. If you were out of custody, you would need to get to Tucson City Court on February 21st at 9 o'clock in the morning. All right, sir, that's all. You're excused.
You'll also get for work, also on the 2017 case, said they went to residence like December 22nd.
I have all.
So, right, so I don't know. I don't know anything about the justice court case from 2016, but I don't know that you were in prison, right? Okay, so you'll get paperwork. You're gonna.
What do I buy here and here?
You have to talk to a failness.
Yep, sorry.
Okay,
Thank you.
yeah, I don't know exactly what their deal would be.
Sir, can I get your full name?
Hello, Rush.
Mr. Rush, I am seeing you this morning on a couple of matters. You've got new charges of possession of narcotic drug, possession of drug paraphernalia. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to an attorney. I'm going to appoint the legal defender's office to represent you. And you've got counsel seated next to you for today's hearing. State's asking for a $1,000 bond in lieu of no bond. He is enrolled in the STEPS program, so is on release currently. So they could hold you without bond, but instead they're asking for a $1,000 bond on that. Ms. Rubin, anything?
Well, they could ask for no bond. If that wasn't going to be the case, I would have asked, because he's eligible for smart court again.
Right.
I would have asked for release, but I can't argue because they could ask for no bond.
Yeah,
So,
and he's still gonna he'll still be eligible for the smart.
right.
Yeah.
Right. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I hear you. All right, I'll order a $500 cash or secured bond released to pretrial if that bond is posted. No alcohol or illegal drugs, monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial. So sir, I'm gonna set another, you're enrolled in the STEPS program right now, right? So you know how
Yes,
that
ma'am.
goes. If you post that bond, you've got to get to Superior Court in about a week. It's January 28th at 9 o'clock in the morning to find out whether or not you're still eligible for that program. And we'll set your preliminary hearing date for January 29th. So if you post your bond, get in touch with pretrial and with your attorney and then get to that hearing. And then I've also got a warrant for you out of Pima County Justice Court for theft, resisting arrest, and possession of drug paraphernalia from June 6th of 2024. On that one, I'm going to order a $250 cash or secured bond. Looks like Sal Huerta is appointed to represent you in Justice Court. Again, no alcohol or illegal drugs. Don't go to that incident location. And you're going to be seen on Tuesday, that's the 21st at 1 o'clock in the afternoon to deal with that matter in Justice Court. And again, if you were to post your bond, you got to get to that hearing. All right. All right. You're excused, sir. Hey, sir, can I get your full name?
Tobias J. Turner.
Mr. Turner. I am seeing you this morning on a charge of theft of means of transportation. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to an attorney. I'm going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you, and you've got counsel seated next to you for today's hearing.
And Your Honor, the recommendation again was made before the report was made available. Looks like he is pending another matter pending sentence. So the recommendation will be in lieu of no bond.
The recommendation is no bond.
The recommendation will be in lieu of no bond.
In
Your
lieu, in lieu of no bond. Okay, so sir, since you were on release for felony charges at the time that you picked this up, the state could be asking for you to be held without bond. Instead, they're asking for a $10,000 bond.
So,
Ms. Rubin, you want to be heard at all, or?
yeah, again, they can ask for no bond, so can't really object to a bond.
Right. I'm going to order the $10,000 bond. It'll be cash or secured, released to pretrial services. If that bond is posted, monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial, no contact with any victims, no alcohol or illegal drugs. And we'll set the preliminary hearing date for January 29th. But sir, if you were to post your bond, that hearing is very likely not going to happen on that date. So you'll need to be in touch with pretrial and with your attorney so you know when to get to court. You understand?
So am I released or am I not?
You're not. You're being held on a $10,000 bond. So if you post that bond,
Oh, okay.
you're released. Okay?
All right.
All right. You're excused. All right. And I'm going to continue Valencia's matters to tonight.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thanks, have a good day.
Thanks so much, everyone.